live. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter. I just jumped up here. I know I did not announce I was going to come up live, but I was just thinking now, and then in the spirit of Easter, why don't I just do this? So, forgive me if I didn't announce. Okay, so I'm just going to be talking about Damsel. It's long overdue. It's long overdue. I should have had that conversation a long time ago, but I was hoping to have my guest so we can trash it. But I will still have my guests come up. But then I was having a very, very, very long night, right until this morning, and I had a few things going back and forth in my mind, appreciating God, being thankful, just thinking about how my life has been, what a journey it has been for me. Okay, low connection. And in all of this, I don't know, for whatsoever reason, the movie Damsel came to my mind. Yes. And when that movie came to my mind, I was just thinking, okay, what is it about Damsel? Why am I thinking about this in the midst of all this? And then I remember that I had so much to talk about in that movie, watching that movie, and I've seen it. I had a movie night last weekend with my girls, and we saw that movie amongst others. And I know this was one of the movies that gave us heated conversations, and we're really, really talking. I captured some of the conversation, and I promise I'm going to be putting it up on Between the Real podcast on Spotify so you can get to see it. So without wasting much time, today is Saturday. It's weekend, and it's Easter weekend, so you probably have so much off your sleeves. I am going to be off for a girls' hangout I think sometime around 10 a.m., which I'll be anchoring. Hi. I see I have somebody watching already. Happy Easter to you. So today I'm going to be talking about the movie Damsel. And that movie, it's one of a kind for me. It's almost like every year I have this one movie that gets my heart, and it's looking like, is it too early already for me to judge? Well, so far so good. Damsel is my movie for 2024, and the reason is because it captures everything. It speaks to the audience, it speaks to filmmakers, it speaks to all groups of people, and all religions. There's nowhere where in the name of God or Jesus or any other name of God was mentioned in that movie. However, if you watch it regardless of your religion, you would I think you should be able to connect with the humanity in this movie. There's this humanity, there's this truth, there's this thing that we can all relate to. I hope that my audio is very good, but then I'll just go right into it. I'll just give you a quick summary for those who haven't seen the movie. It's about a girl, a damsel. They say that word is obsolete. It's no longer in use. It's name used to describe a girl, a young woman, and she's betrothed to this king and this prince rather in this kingdom, and her family seems to be going through a very tough season in financial, taking care of the kingdom and all that. Hi Jerry, good to see you. And then she had to be betrothed to the family. Now her father is thinking, if I'm able to do this arranging marriage, what we call arranging marriage in Nigeria, I'll be able to save my family, I'll be able to save my kingdom. And then and sometimes we the daughters are the price that the family has to pay to be able to get freedom or to get the things that we need. That's a conversation for another day. But then she goes to this kingdom. Apparently there's a whole lot going on that she does not even know about. But then something led to one thing led to another, and then it's a wedding day. The wedding, it's done, and then she's told that she has to go to this mountain to meet the guy's ancestors, or her new husband's ancestors, just for her to get there and see all these marks people, and then a certain kind of ritual is done. Her hand is cut, her palm, and then the palm of the husband is cut, and they join together, and And the next thing is he said, oh, I have to carry you back. And then he throws her into this dungeon. That's where the story begins. That's where the whole Damsel story begins. And then in this, all of this, she goes into that place. Now, she was told that every year they have to do their sacrifice because they met a dragon there and all that. But that wasn't really the whole story. So she finds herself in this dungeon, and then she has to survive. Now this beast is chasing her, like she's screaming. I mean, the screaming was getting to me in that movie anyway. She was screaming, and what is happening. When you're in a situation, you're trying to figure out like what is happening, what just happened, and she's looking for herself, and then she's running, trying to survive. This beast is trying to take her life. The dragon keeps coming after her, and eventually it almost looks like she's found a way out, but she doesn't find her way out, and then she's almost out, and then the dragon comes and tells her you can't go out, you can't survive, and then he's about to kill her, and then the voice comes, and then he goes to check, and then she finds out that her father came for her, which is kind of where I got caught up last night, but I'll come to that. And then she goes back in. Eventually her father is killed by the dragon and all those ways who saw him in. But she goes out, and she's able to escape. But on her escape, the queen who discovers that the girl has escaped the dragon seizes her younger sister and throws her back into the dungeon as a replacement for her life. So at this point, she had to go back into the dungeon again to save her sister. But she did not just save her sister, she also saved the dragon and rewrote history. She was able to reveal the truth of what has been happening to the dragon. Apparently, the kingdom, this particular kingdom at the opening of Damsel, the king at the beginning, if you have seen it, goes there, kills the dragon's 3 daughters, just dragon eggs, and just kills them before they even hatch. And the dragon tells him, you will suffer as I have suffered. I won't kill you. So they make a pact, and the pact is that every generation, 3 daughters of the kingdom, of the royal house, will be sacrificed to the dragon. And when they are sacrificed, the dragon would let them have peace. So what this wicked queen and how those wicked rich people, I'm a rich person, to forget that thing. Wicked, they're just wicked people, whether they're rich or poor. They're wicked rich people and they're wicked poor people. I don't think it's about your social status. I think it's about the state of the heart. Now, they devised a method. They can't just sacrifice their daughters every generation. So what they did is they would get their son betrothed to a queen, and when they do a princess or a random person, a commoner, of which Damsel is one, and then do a pact, like a blood covenant, throw her in. The dragon smells the royal blood and assumes that's the royal. And they've been doing this for years until this particular girl. Let me hear somebody say, one day for the thief, every day for the thief, one day for the owner. So they messed with the wrong girl this time around. So they cut her hand. But she was able to reveal the truth to this dragon. I think somehow she was able to get a revelation when she was there to tell him, look, I am not part of this family. They lied to you. They have been killing innocent children, innocent girls for generations. Now, inside that dungeon, there were carcasses of girls with plenty of gold, because you have to toss a coin into the dungeon. And there was so much of it going on and on and on. Hello, on and on and on and on. But until this girl, Elodie, came. Her name is Elodie. And then she was able to reveal this truth to the dragon. Now, somewhere in that story, you need to see the movie, because, see, there's no way I can explain Damsel for you. You just need to see the movie. If I had a way of just doing a live stream where we'll have this virtual reality watch, I think I should organize that. I've seen it 3 times. I don't get tired of seeing it, because there's just always something to learn from it. And then this place where the dragon she fought with her life. Imagine this little girl fighting with the dragon. He was about to overcome her, and then there's this, the spirit of the girls that have been there kind of like gave her a pathway and showed her what she could do. And then there was this rock just by the side here, and the rock was like it had this wave. So she stood there, provoked the dragon, and he says, there's nobody that is coming to save you. You are alone. You know what she tells him? I am not alone. And that's like, I'm not alone. You can see my t-shirt, right? I wore this shirt on purpose this weekend. I had to just wear it, yeah. Christ in me. Christ in me, if you can see it. It says Christ in me. Like, I'm not alone. For some of us, we're not alone, right? Some people feel alone. I'm not alone. And then the spirit of those girls kind of like give her an idea. So she stands there. Hello, everyone. She stands there, and the wind blows, boom, and the dragon pours out his fire, and she dodges, and it hits the rock, and it backfires. Those of you who go to churches where they shout, fire, 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 back to sender, back to sender. That was what happened. It was back to sender. So the dragon's fire spits back at the dragon, and it burns him. But at this point, the dragon was just ready to die, and she tells Elodie, just kill me. But Elodie does not do that. Now, while Elodie was trying to find her way around the dungeon earlier, the cave, she found these very tiny little creatures that have light in them. Apparently, these creatures heal. So she found them, they kind of healed her wounds, and then she picked them up and she put it back on the dragon's body, and the dragon was healed. Now, she could have just killed that dragon out of anger. But she understood at that point that the dragon itself was not doing anything to these people or killing people because it wanted to. It's because it was lied to, and she gave the dragon another chance at redemption, another chance at living again. Hi, Gospel David. Hi, good to see you. So she gives this dragon another chance to live. And by the end of it, they were about to marry the third for the prince. And while they were on this third, she comes out and tells them, we know your secret. Now, I'm giving you a chance. Everyone else who has been part of this madness, just go. And then those who refuse to go, the dragon comes and speaks. But before she does that, she saves the girl who was about to be in her position, because it has to be 3 girls every year. She was the second. There was a one before her. She was the second, and then the third was about to be betrothed, which means they keep marrying girls. But I kept asking the question, what happened? If you don't see your child for how many years, won't you ask questions? Well, that's a story for another day. So that's Damsel. But she was able to save this dragon, save this other damsel who was about to be thrown into the dungeon again. And at the end of the day, if you have seen the movie Damsel, please just drop your comments. At the end of the day, she saved people, she saved lives, and then she was able to change a tradition that had been going on for years. Because if she had died in that dungeon, if she had just walked away and not bothered to come save her daughter, her sister, if she had not even gone back to save the other girl, they would have continued being that evil generation, that evil system would have continued. But she ended it, and at the end of it, this beautiful image. Oh, God bless the cinematographer. God bless the story writers for Damsel. They were able to, she just had this hovering, this dragon walking, and it's like, yay, it's like she was feeling like like a boss. You just see the shadow of the dragon over her. Now, I titled this Love, Resilience, and Sacrifice, and this is because through the plot is beautifully, the story was well told. I like the sequence, I like the acting. Millie Bobby was beautiful. All the actors, we have Angela Bassett, who was a stepmother to these girls, and we'll come to that. Now, I titled it, I just picked these 3 themes: love, resilience, and sacrifice. Now, let's talk about love. We're in a season where people, especially in the Christendom, are celebrating Easter. And if you remember, if you are a believer watching this, you know or remember John 3:16 that says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life." The Bible says, "For God so loved the world." God loved the world first. that he gave. Now, and this is a season of love. I said that to say that this is actually a season of love. This is a season where you think about love. You think about the goodness of God. You think about the goodness of the family, the gift of family, the gift of friends, the gift of people, the gift of opportunities, and even the things that we go through. Elodie's mother, we didn't give us a background story as to what happened to her, but her mother died, and because her mother died, she was forced to I think her father remarried. But it's not all the time that a man loses his wife and he remarries a wicked woman, because in this case she just has a good stepmother. We see her taking care of the girls, and she was the first to have an instinct to say that this family, there's something wrong, after she had a conversation with the queen, who was very derogatory. And she says, okay, look, there's something going on here. She may not be her biological mother, but she had the motherly instinct. This is something that says that you don't really have to be the biological parent of this person, of this child. Like, it makes me wonder when we all keep saying, I want to have a child of my own. I have seen people pick up children that are not theirs and own them and love them and nurture them and take care of them. And this is this woman. She could feel that something was wrong, and she didn't just go and say, well, they're not my kids, I don't care. But she took care of them, and she was able to have a conversation with Elodie and say, look, there's something wrong. She tries to talk the father out of it, and the father keeps saying, look, I've made up my mind. You know that thing that men do, I'm the man of the house. I've made up my mind. There's nothing you can do about it. Talking like a Nigerian man. You know the way they all portray us in Hollywood. That is how all of us talk. We talk with a certain accent. You guys don't mind me. I'm just having fun this afternoon. I'm really, really into this right now. So he doesn't listen to her, and that is how they got there. So we're talking about love, and there's so much love going on here. You can see the love between Elodie and her stepmother, the love between the stepmother towards the children, even though they did not understand her at first. Now, those of us who have had to be in a situation of stepmother, stepdaughter, had stepmother-stepdaughter relationships, and those who are as stepmothers. I am a stepdaughter. I understand how this kind of relationships can really be tough. However, some people get it right, some don't. They may not get you right, especially for a stepmother at first. Even as a stepchild, your stepmother may not get you right? And then with time, they would understand that your actions toward them are actions of love. Another thing is the love that the father came through at the end of the day. I love this particular man's character, because despite the fact that he was wrong, he came back to acknowledge that he was wrong. So he showed up. He was able to push through and show up for his family, for his daughter. He went back. He did not just send people to go find her. He entered the dungeon itself. Now, that was kind of where, if I don't say anything again, if this video stops at this point, then I'll be satisfied if I say this. That was what made me do this video. I was just thinking about the Father's love, right? And for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Now, this story may not really depict the God so loved the world sending his only begotten son kind of thing, but the Bible says that God is love. The Bible says that Jesus himself is God, and the Father did not just send somebody, in this case of sending a random servant, right, and just going. He went into the dungeon himself to find his daughter. And although he could not come out with her, he sacrificed his life that she would live. And then it was this time, having tried all by herself, it was the same access, the rope that the father used to enter the dungeon was the same rope that Melody was able to use to go out. And she found a very clean exit out of that place. Can you imagine? How beautiful can that be? That God does not leave us alone. And he's not like our earthly fathers who make mistakes and come back. But then that sacrifice, and the Bible says that if your parents, Jesus was speaking and he said, if your parents, if your earthly parents, or you men who are evil know how to give good things, how much more of me, your father? If Elodie's father was able to go all the way to save his daughter, how much more of me? Can't you see that I'm always with you? I'm always in you. I would never leave you nor forsake you. And for those who are not Christians, really, this is just to say that love is principle. Love is principle. Love is powerful. Love is a human being. I believe every day, and I tell myself every day, maybe your love personified. Have I gotten there yet? No. But every day I believe that I can act up to that measure of love and live that life. Now, I'm talking about resilience. We saw a certain level of this resilience for Elodie. Now, this is not a regular kind of story where you have a princess in distress and a prince comes to save her. There's so much conversation that can be derived from this story. What do they call this? Damsel. Girls usually need saving. Hi, Desire, all the way from Germany. How are you doing? Good. So there's so much going on in this movie that the girl does. We thought that there was going to be a prince that would come and save her, but there was no prince. She fought all the way, and in that cave, she found oh my god, my phone is overheating. She found a way out and she was able to navigate. She found healing in that process, and she found, now it is in that cave that she found those little petals that could heal. It was in that cave that she found those little creatures that were able to heal the dragon. So sometimes we're in this tough situation and we don't know what to do, and it seems like we're going to die in here. Now, this is the same journey that many have gone through and have lost their lives. But this one came with so much resilience, with so much toughness. Now, you will see that the conversation that had been going around this is saying that this Paco girl, you see those muscles that we have to grow sometimes are not just because we just have to grow muscles. Because you see from the beginning, we saw Elodie breaking firewood, and trying to keep her community safe. That same resilience was what she got in there. And that's the kind of resilience we should, not just for women. Men, women are like, parents, teach your children how to be resilient. Don't just give up. Don't just give up. She had every reason to give up. If you look through the movie, you will see carcass from the beginning, from the mouth, the entrance of that cave, all through. It means that many girls for generations have been thrown into that dungeon, but some died early, some could not. The way they threw her younger sister, very tender, and she was already dead. If that dragon wanted to kill that girl, he would have just killed her, but it was Elodie he wanted, And it tells me of how much some of us have had to go through things. And there are things I've gone through that I've asked God, why now? Why did this have to happen? Like, really? But looking back now, I'm seeing that when I go to speak, when I'm talking to young people, I'm able to connect. It's almost like saying that, like Jesus says, he's not unaware of the feelings of our infirmity. He knows. He has been tempted in such manner. He's been human. It's like you have gone through it so you can also help others. And it's that same resilience that made her, that she was able to come back and save. Not going back into to talk about sacrifice. Her father sacrificed his life, but she also had to make a sacrifice. You know what it means, how traumatic it is to be in that dungeon. But for you to be able to go out and then find out that somebody has also been thrown into that same situation, then you go back. It's the reason why we have people who have gone through things coming up. We have people opening up cancer awareness centers because they've lost loved ones to cancer and they don't want any other person to go through this. We saw Elodie in that light. She went back into that cave. Some of us have to go back. Some of us have to go back from the places that God saved us from the places that we've been able to come out of, because we were able to come out with help. Elodie was not without help. She had spiritual help. She had physical help. Come on, am I talking to somebody? I feel like I'm preaching right now. Elodie had help. She got this help. The spirit of the girls that have been there were able to help her. There was this Victoria who was carving. All of them wrote their names, and it reminds me of a place in scripture that says that we are being surrounded by such a cloud of witnesses, that there are people who have gone through this. They may not have made it, but their story, they are making, their failures, their flaws were able to teach us about life, that you don't have to go through it all. So you see Elodie going through this gradually, and she was able to come out. Victoria was almost getting out of there, but she could not get out. Does it tell you something? That you go out of the situation and you are able to fall back. You're able to sit down and say, look, I was able to come out of here. I am saved now. Some people will just go and be like, okay, I'm not going back to that village. I have moved on. I'm not going back to that life. I was a prostitute before. Excuse me. I was this, I was that. Do you know what I've been through? But what is it that this thing is telling you? Sometimes these things reveal purpose to you. They are like something that is calling you back. Elodie did not just run away. She had the opportunity to move on, but she went back. Some of you may say that, yes, it's not her younger sister. But sometimes it's beyond just blood. It's beyond just your biological blood. That you think that somebody else is going to go through that situation or is in that same situation as you. You say, no, I will not let this happen. Rara, then you go back into that dungeon and fetch them out. It's not easy. But if you watch this movie, you will see that by the time Elodie went back the second time, it seemed easier. She knew what to do. This time she was armed. Her father's armor and everything, she was just putting them together, carried the sword, and she used it. See, I said this movie had nothing to do with Christianity. There was no Bible scripture quoted at any point. But I could just see things that, I could see my life in there. You see a young girl pushing. And then by this time it seemed easy. It may not have been as easy as the movie made it look, because she exposed herself to danger, but she was able to save that girl's life. Sometimes you're wondering, people wonder why I kind of like keep pushing. I felt like KW has failed many times, but every time I remember that when a purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When a girl or a person does not know his or her purpose, abuse is inevitable. Right now in front of me is a book written, What on Earth Am I Here For? I've read that book before and I just started reading it again. I just want to read it again because it's important to know. And for me, when I remember this thing, it makes me go back again and start wanting to fetch these girls out, because we can't be lost. I wasn't lost. Why should somebody else lose their lives? So you see that she went into the dungeon, and then she does not just stop at going into the dungeon. She goes back into that city. Because sometimes you may have to go into the nook and crannies. You may have to go into the dungeon. You may have to go back to a village. You may have to go back to where the low lives are. Other times you may have to go into the city. You may have to go back into where the bourgeoisies are, where the rich people who think that nobody can touch them because their money fortifies them. You may have to go and stand in their faces and tell them, look, your money perish with you, your wickedness perish with you. I'm saving these lives out of your hand. Because there are somebody who is about to enter that same situation. So she went back to the palace. And she saved yet another girl who was about to be exposed to that trauma. Remember, her younger sister had already been exposed. This person has not. And she didn't just say, oh, well, I think my sister is fine now. Let's just go home, Mama. I don't care. Drag her, let's go. I don't care what happens. No. She goes back to the palace and says, no, we have to end this tyranny of nonsense. And I want to use this opportunity to salute every man and woman in Nigeria, in Africa, who has fought for the liberty of the black man, who has fought for the liberty of women. Now, I'm not talking about all those people who come to say we are doing women liberation and all that and keep lying to us and keep giving us donations just to keep us underneath here. I'm talking about the real men and women who keep going back every day, trying to save people, trying to fetch people out of darkness, doing everything they can so people do not even enter the darkness in the first place. See, if you haven't watched this movie, just go and see it. I don't know how you see movies, but me, when I see movies sometimes, especially this kind of movie, I would want to see Damsel again. There's just so much conversation to derive out of this movie. If you haven't seen it, the movie we're discussing is Damsel on Between the Reels. Remember, it's movies beyond entertainment. Let me say it right. It's movies beyond entertainment. I know I've been talking a lot, but today we're talking about love, resilience, and sacrifice. And it's a season of all of this. We saw a man, and I'm going to wrap up with this. We saw a man come to earth. A man who loved the world so much, who loved us so much, who loved his creation so much, come into the darkest place to save us. And some people when they say, oh, it's not the same thing as Damsel, but I'm just going to say it this way: that the spirit of Easter, Jesus came into this very dark, irritating, dirty world. Now, if you guys don't think that this world is, then I don't know about. For me, there's just really the earth is just the earth. It's, I don't know. It's sweet for some people, but for me, what gives me satisfaction and joy is just knowing that I'm with Yeshua. Any minute without him, man, it's messed up, man. So, but he came into this very dark world and lived among men and sacrificed. And he came. One thing that led him here was love. And at the point where he was about to give up and do the ultimate sacrifice, he had to fight through resilience. The Bible tells us that at the point he said, Lord, let this cup be taken away from me. Let this cup be taken away. Sorry, I just saw through the screen where he threw her into the dungeon. Don't mind me. That was kind of like what Satan did to many of us. Just took us out of the Garden of Eden and put us in this bad situation. And Jesus followed all the way and saved us. And with resilience, he sacrificed his life for you and I. The Bible says, whosoever believes in him will not perish. Whosoever. Whether you are Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're born into, because some of us are born into Christian families. We had to make up our minds to become Christians at a point. Whether you're Buddhist, whatever you believe in, whatever religion you belong to, whosoever believes will not perish but have everlasting life. And in the spirit of Easter, I just want to say, Happy Easter. Tomorrow, Jesus resurrects. Today is down there in the dungeon, fighting some bad guys like the dragon. Whoosh, 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 hitting them back and forth. Just so that you and I will be safe, we'll be fine, and I can do this video without fear. So thank you so much for joining. To everyone who came in and went out, I know it's a morning and you all are planning your activities and all that. Thank you so much. I'm talking about Damsel, and I look forward to having more conversation. I promise to try to bring our guests so we can have this conversation. I'll upload the conversation with the girls last weekend on Spotify. It was audio, and then there's Annie Kolapo. I had the chats with Ejuru. Third Giro, forgive me, on Annie Kolapo. It's almost spans up to an hour, but split it into different episodes, so you can listen to it on Between the Reels on Spotify. It's Mildred Simi Gang. Happy Easter once again, and remember to live a life of love, resilience, and sacrifice. I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye. 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 Go now. Okay, I'm the one that wants to go. All right. Have a great weekend.